Hi, Melanie. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
I'm doing really well.
Wonderful.
Thank you for being here today. I'm excited to learn more about Ayurvedic medicine. I'm here with Melanie MacDonald, and she is a doctor of Ayurvedic medicine. I'm going to start with your bio. Melanie is a doctor of Ayurvedic medicine who has been in the medical Ayurveda field for over 20 years. For the last 5 years, she has been on the faculty of a well-known Ayurveda college, teaching students to become practitioners themselves. For the last 20 plus years, she has been providing consultations, treatment plans, recipe, and meal planning support for individuals both battling disease and those just looking to boost their current state of wellness. Melanie, is there anything else you'd like to add to that?
No, thank you so much. I'm honored and excited to be here and talk Ayurveda with you. So thanks for having me.
Awesome. Me too.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's start. Please tell
Okay.
us, what is Ayurvedic medicine?
Okay. So it's always fun to answer this because it has a few different definitions. So in short, Ayurveda means knowledge of life, and it's about getting to know our body, the environment around us, and how we are. It is like we are the microcosm within the macrocosm. And so Ayurveda is about bringing us in sync with the natural cycles in nature in order to be able to experience healing sometimes spontaneously. And so I would say, so Ayu means knowledge and Veda means life. We try to find where somebody is out of sync. And then sometimes, and I don't go into this right away, usually with patients, but ultimately, Ayurveda is showing us where our imbalance is. And we say disease comes from losing our true nature as spirit. So there's all these hands-on things we do with food and herbs, but ultimately we're trying to peel away to find out where maybe we're wounded within and where how we can find that road back to our true self as spirit, and then we can live out our dharma, our purpose in life if we're feeling good. When we have those hindrances of not feeling our best self, we have some bumps that get in our way. So it's about revealing that too. So that's kind of a
And
long
so
definition.
it's a great definition. I love it. And do you believe that? So when you're working with a client, then what is the word I'm looking for? The practice that you give them or the protocol that you give them would encompass food that they eat as well as thoughts and probably movement too.
Definitely. One reason I was drawn to Ayurveda was because there were so many modalities within it. And my more in my 20s, very Vata Gemini came through, and I was like teaching yoga, a bodywork therapist already. And then within Ayurveda, we start with food and herbs because that's our livelihood. But there's pranayama, so there's breath therapy, asana, um, pose therapy, and chromotherapy, color therapy, aromatherapy, and oil therapy, so body treatments. And there's even meditation, mindfulness. So all these come within the umbrella of Ayurveda. And that's always exciting to figure out what is it that's going to help somebody, that's going to be their therapy to go along with their food plan to
Right.
bring them home.
Right. And don't you feel, or has it been your experience that working with the client probably is not a one and done, and it's probably always evolving?
hmm So true. Where they start right now is not where they might be in 3 months or six. And Ayurveda is a long-term program where someone can find balance within 3 to 4 weeks, but then it's like the layers. There's something else, or something happens in their life, and a few steps back. And so it is always changing. When I meet with people, we talk about what's their tendency from when they were born. That's their inherent condition. And then what is true for them right now? Because maybe they're like, oh, when I was younger, I used to always be hungry and now I have no appetite. Or, it could be simple like that. And so that does change even from today to next year, and hormones and life and a
Right.
lot of things come into play.
We've been in this practice for quite a long time, and I'm wondering if you have an example of a client that you've seen maybe from teen years for a period of maybe 7 or 8 years, and what that's looked like.
Yeah, good question. I do. So I'm thinking of one I'm in mind. I started seeing her when she was in high school. She's in her 30s now. And so I'll just, there's a couple others in that young to continuing, but she's had different things come up for her. And what I found is an overall theme is that when we built what we call ojas in Ayurveda, it's like our foundation that is a container for our systems of our body, our energy levels, our ability to digest, ability to think clearly. Her foundation, we got it to a place of a bit of more stable so that when other things happened in her life, she wasn't so floored. We could just build up from there. So that's kind of generally speaking for her, but it might have started with she had severe anxiety. We were working with blemished skin and we were working with digestive trouble. So a bit of a spectrum there. And we got her to a balanced place. I actually didn't see her except for seasonally. So that's how it works. People feel better and then I don't see them except for to tweak what's going on or, oops, I kind of got off my practices. Can you help me get re-inspired? Things like that. But then she came into having some it was actually a stress infection that turned into an autoimmune infection. And we were able to work with herbal therapies and then go back to some of the things that she knew about. So that's what I mean. Like she was able to just quickly kind of find healing quicker than most do with what she had. And so that was really neat to see how we can pull from those tools
Yeah.
uh, that our body has had practices with. Yeah.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Now, when we were at a talk that you gave, when I was at a talk that you gave, you stressed the importance of the health of digestion and the gut as a root of most symptoms. Can you talk more about that?
Yeah. So digestion is seen as that vital center that feeds all the systems of our body. And even if people don't know, or they think I don't have any digestive symptoms, but they have trouble with sleep, or they have trouble, let's see, um, focusing in the day, or I'm just thinking it could be any example, or they have a skin problem, a
Mhm.
dermatological problem. They don't think they're coming in to me for digestive trouble, but when we can map it out, somewhere along the way, the story began there. And that's because the doshas, which are made up of elements, like vata is air and ether, pitta is fire, sometimes fire, water. And then kapha is earth and water. What that means is those qualities of those elements exist within the digestive tract. And when we eat certain foods that increase those qualities, or we live a certain lifestyle that increases those qualities, they overflow out of the digestive tract, sort of get more systemic throughout the body, relocate, and become something else. So
Mhm.
what we do in Ayurveda is we do symptomatic therapy, like let's let this feel better, let's do this for it now, but we're also monitoring, tracking, diving deep into what needs to be fixed with the digestive tract. And one way I give a little image of this like a tree. There's the roots of the tree, and the roots are the different doshas in the digestive tract. And then
Mhm.
the trunk is a circulatory system. And then the branches, the leaf, the bud, the flower is where it's relocated, it's manifested, and it's become something we can call a name, a label.
Aleppo.
Yeah. So, Western medicine can come in and it can do its job and prune the tree and help something and help someone feel better. So there's a place for it. And then sometimes something else will pop up or again or again. And so we go back and find that root cause of illness. So
Yeah,
that's,
and I like your
yeah.
analogy of the tree and adding in the Western medical because when we think about the way the Western medicine just inserts themselves onto this tree, it prunes it and it manifests something else, and it prunes it again and it prunes and it prunes and eventually it prunes, and so there's actually no tree left.
Hmm. Hmm.
That's my sense of the Western medical system. Maybe somebody has a different idea, but this is my show and that's my idea.
That works. That's great. Yeah. And then people will feel lost.
Yeah.
And I have found a majority of people that come to Ayurveda are health conscious people Pri I would say predominantly maybe 35 to 65, interested in health. I've tried a lot of things. I'm still feeling this way. It's they're health conscious. They're looking and they're searching. And so
Mm,
Ayurveda can kind of fill in where what we would call is this ojas, is this container is almost like the soil that's feeding the tree. It's not even the
mm,
roots itself. It's that like that which feeds our immune system. And so we have a certain amount we're burdened with, and then in life we have like a bank account of it. So we're borrowing it from it. We get
mm.
depleted. Oops, I need to add to that. So I was going to go back to that. I was talking about the different therapies of Ayurveda. A lot of them fit into a category of one of our sense therapies. And so that's another little piece that we're doing in Ayurveda is we're healing the body by healing our sensory experience. And that's how we experience life through
Right.
the touch would be the oil massages, the taste would be the food, of course. And that's where the aromatherapy is for the sense of smell, color therapy for the eyes, and oh, there's sound therapy too,
Sound
like
therapy.
different chanting and sound medicine.
Right.
Yeah, so
And
those,
then mantras is your
yes,
energetics
yes,
and
and
sound.
definitely right. And we have bija mantras, which are a seed sound, and there's one that
Mhm.
goes with each chakra. So if it's appropriate for someone and that's what's going to be useful, then there's even chakra medicine. So I love that
Mm.
it's really endless.
Oh my gosh, it's literally all encompassing.
Hmm. Yes, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so tell me a little bit more about the doshas because I feel like a while ago, probably like 20 years ago, I had read up on some doshas and I'm looking at like the body form according to each dosha. And I feel like I don't fit in any of the constructs that they share in textbooks. And
Hmm.
so, I mean, I can't imagine that like every single person is either a Vata, Pitta, or Kapha. It's got to be sort of a blend, or
Hmm.
how do you address that?
Yeah, we say as many doshas as there are people. So
Mm,
there is each person having their own unique makeup. And so when I will do the extensive paperwork, I come up with sort of a percentage of what someone's inherent condition is that's decided at conception. And it's going to be determined by the state of the parents, the state of their environment, and the state of um, the time of year. So then they have that, and so people will say, "Oh, am I trying to get back to zero of each dosha?" And you're not. You're always going to have your certain tendency where somebody, really generally speaking, is more vata. They're going to like to not have a schedule, be spontaneous, travel, and it's also those things that will throw them out of balance. And they will become too light and dry in mind and body. Same with Pitta, very determined, very focused. The leaders, too much fire, they're going to be having inflamed. I'm making generalizations just to put in a little category,
right,
but they
right.
might get angry, impatient. Those are people prone to being, road rage and like that. So, and then kapha, if someone has a certain amount of kapha they're born with, they'll have a natural tendency to be nurturing, um, be grounded, and have a lot of sustenance in their body, but too much of it, and they're going to get tired and lethargic and feel heavy in mind and
Mm,
body. So basically, I'm saying that because I will figure out what is probably their inherent condition and what's going on right now. And when we do those tests online, we can get kind of a decent idea, but it can be hard because we're like, well, I'm that and that. And um, and it's also sometimes hard to fully observe what it is who we are on those tests. So there's pulse diagnosis. We can feel the different elements through the pulse. And then there's the tongue and the eyes and the skin, and then also the physical traits, but also the internal workings. How does someone digest? How do they sleep? What's their energy?
mm,
Um, so I guess I'll say to put the Vata, Pitta, Kapha in their categories. Vata is fall and early winter. So when we look in the environment, then it's getting very dry, it's very light, it's very mobile. Those are the air and ether qualities that exist in that time of year, also in our body, and also in times of day.
mhm,
So someone who's born with more Vata in fall and early winter, they might be prone to more of these imbalances of dry skin, maybe constipation, maybe anxiety, light sleep, than someone
Mhm.
who's born with more pitta and kapha. So that's how they dance. They dance around these doshas do, and some are more accessible to us. But I'll say right now we're moving at the end of Vata, we're nearing into Kapha, which is going to be
Mhm.
spring. The earth is heavy and more like clay and damp and wet. And so it's common for people to get sinus trouble and
Mhm.
sluggish and kind of groggy in mind and body. And that can happen to all of us. But someone that's born with kapha is going to have more of a tendency. So I'm always looking for all of those. What's true for you? What's true for time of year, time of life, too? Oh,
Yeah.
goes on. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I really liked what you were saying about how you work with a client and how you look at all the dosha, but as well as their eyes and their how they present and all these other things, which is so different from the Western medical system,
Mhm.
just because they just come in and they ask you questions and you're just really kind of giving them your idea,
Mhm.
which we don't know. That's why we're not feeling well.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
Also, I wanted to, what you were, when you were talking about the seasons and how the seasons present in nature and in us humans, there's also diets and recipes that you
Mhm.
share seasonally, right?
Mhm.
Where I think like baked apples are good now,
Mhm. Mhm.
and that's
Yeah.
delicious.
It's so good, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's certain qualities of the food. They also have a certain amount of light, dry, moist, heavy, that can add to our body. It's their post-digestive effect can help to balance us. We do opposite theory of healing. So if we're running warm, we're going to add cool. If we're cool, we're add warm, just kind of like that. So yeah, in fall, we want to get more oily, healthy fat type of foods, the stews, and our body can handle it more because it inherently wants that sustenance and needs
Mm,
that insulation. And then as we move into spring, what's available to us, we see outside is red clover, dandelion, bitter greens, and it's
yes.
exactly what our body needs to sort of string out or squeeze out excess from winter. And so tastes go along with time of year. I'll say, for instance, spring, we want to favor astringent and pungent and bitter taste because those tastes, we think dandelion or arugula, they help squeeze out excess fluid. And so then summer comes and it's hot, and we follow more of a sweet, bitter, and astringent to help excess oil and heat. But basically, if we do the recipes for that season, we just help ride that wave because that's what the seasons will do is we accumulate those elements in us. And at the peak of a season, we might feel the most um, of those qualities in us. But then ideally, it comes back down. And if we're doing the right spices and the right recipes, tweaking our schedule and our food life a bit, we are in balance for the next season to begin. So it's
Yeah, and I really
nice
love
ride.
that because it works with nature, just as you're
Yeah.
saying, because they have said before that the weeds that find your yard are the herbs, the medicinal herbs for you. So
Hmm.
I have an herbalist friend, Sarah from Inner Fire Apothecary, that's come to my land before, and she had said, "Oh, every morning you should be taking a walk on your land. I see you've got clover, you've got dandelion, whatever you find, pull them and put them in a tea and drink that
Oh, yes. Yeah,
because that's good for you. It's literally the land gives you what your body needs. And so
definitely.
just take it and receive it.
Yeah.
It's
It's it,
beautiful.
it's so beautiful to look in your own backyard. What plants are talking to me because the plants have their plant world and we have our a human world, but they're meant to be bridged together. And so having that reminder, that message like, okay, the plants are, this is what's going to be useful for me right now. And the dandelion's so amazing. The root has its liver healing qualities. The leaf has its urinary tract and kidney healing quality. So the whole plant together, we've got this wonderful medicine. Um, yeah, and sometimes, and red clover too has this wonderful liver restoring um, medicine, and it's part of that digestive wellness because liver, gallbladder, they're a part of the digestive system, and how much benefit we can get from. plant medicine. And that is big in Ayurveda. We do try to find ways, whether it's with spices or with specific unique formulas for somebody,
Mhm.
we want them to be able to benefit from plant medicine.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, but
yeah.
also because it's so accessible.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah,
in your years of practicing Ayurvedic medicine, what have you found to be the most challenging for people who have endeavored to walk down this path?
it's a great question. So there's, it can be unique to each person, but in general, there can be a common theme that people have built up maybe some walls. And I want to say it, we get in our own way. And can I, and this can come in the form of, unknowingly, in the form of the reasons why we can't do certain things. It can be where maybe somebody says, I'm going to, one example is exercise or going to yoga. I'm not going to do it until I have more time. I need a little longer to do it. And sometimes we hold on to those stories and go, "Oh, I need more time." But sometimes even just 10 minutes a day, just like start the seeds of that pattern and then we can begin that. But another one is someone might not be able to eat breakfast or they can't do a morning practice. Ayurveda has a whole morning routine that we find really important to start the day. So they say, I have to get to work. I don't have time. And then I say, well, let's work on going to bed earlier. Oh, I can't because I eat late. And then it might be, well, can you eat earlier or eat a bigger lunch? No, I don't have much time for my lunch break. And so see where the pattern is. These things can be adjusted. It's just about a priority shift. And that can be hard. And it's hard sometimes to share that with someone if they are not seeing it. We don't want to offend anybody, but if we, that's part of the process is diving in and our belief system leads us to our actions in life, which leads us into our perspective or perception of what's possible. So
Right.
it's sort of like a little bit of work backwards to change those belief systems
Yeah.
to create a path for ourselves. It's that story, people helping other people, and finally one day they learn, oh, I learned to say no to too many obligations. I'm taking care of myself now. It's like that, putting ourselves on the front burner and not the back. That's
Right.
probably stands out for people. How can they work themselves back in as the priority? Um,
Yeah.
like giving themselves the oxygen, that analogy, the oxygen mask in order to
Yeah.
help others in their life, because we can help people a lot more if we have that full cup.
Right.
And that's that ojas, the full ojas. We can kind of maneuver and manage through the day much easier.
Yeah. Yeah. It just takes that step one is to prioritize ourselves.
Yeah, and this
Yeah.
it's a process in itself, that
Mm.
that step, and that's where that might be a goal, but that there might be other things along the way to get there. So I had one woman that her job was so stressful for her, but she didn't see any way around it. It was the job that she had, and she needed to have it. So I wasn't there to tell her change jobs. I mean, that's kind of really jumping to the end, which was going to be the goal. We didn't talk about the goal, but I witnessed it and I held the space for her and I got her on a specific mind formula and a specific digestion formula. And also she was wanting to be educated. And this is always exciting when someone wants to work in their kitchen. I can tell them how to make their food and what to make. And um, all sorts of wonderful things about how much healing can happen if we eat at the right time of day or the right type of food for time of year. So, okay, fast forward to down the road, the foundation was set in her to be able to have more clarity, to listen to her heart and do the changes she needed to do. And she had been feeling great. I hadn't seen her in many months, and we had an appointment. She said, "Oh, I don't work there anymore. I have this, and I'm just," she was living out her dharma. She was an artist. She opened an art gallery. And I was like, oh, that's, yes. It was like a sigh of
This is
relief.
why, this
Yes.
is why we
Yes.
do what we do.
It is. Yes. That's the moment. And it's all like makes sense. And that's what I hope to help people with is just removing some obstacles. And it may be, again, using some of those treatments to get
Yeah.
someone on their path where they want to be.
Yeah, that's so funny because I had a conversation with a friend who is really good at financial advising. And she was saying how she wanted to help a friend, but really her friend, like my friend really needs to leave her husband. And, but like, I don't know how to tell her that. She'd get really offended. And I had said to her, well, actually, if you're going to help her with her finances, I think eventually, once she gets her finances aligned, she will probably recognize the truth and leave her husband anyways.
Mm-hmm.
And my friend was
Right.
like, you're right. You're
Uh,
right.
yeah. Yeah. Finding that, like getting rooted,
Yeah.
grounded in the organization of that, and then being able to see more clearly. Yeah,
Right.
I love that. And yeah, that can keep coming up. You had asked about in time if it can be different from one point to the next, and that's sort of the same scenario because there isn't just a stagnant way that it always is. Well, and if it is, we're trying to help that too. But it does evolve like our seasons of our life, our seasons of our year, and that ebb and flow. If somebody finds what it is that's disturbing them and they get help, they'll see the other truth. So,
That's so
yeah.
interesting. As you're talking, I'm thinking, isn't that interesting? Because a lot of people engage in talk therapy. And recently, more people that I talk to are really coming to the conclusion that talk therapy doesn't really work. And maybe it's because talking is just involves your head. And oftentimes we have so much going on in our bodies that we're not aware of. And like you said, this medicine for life. When you adjust how your body feels and you get to a place of actually feeling really good and clearing blockages and clearing your heart, then you're more aligned with your truth and your
Hmm.
dharma, and you're able to walk forward making better decisions for yourself. It
Hmm.
has nothing to do with the headspace or talking
Hmm.
or trying to
Hmm.
work things out on your head in your headspace. It's
Hmm.
really all about how are we digesting food
Hmm.
and life and
Hmm.
everything that we see and everything that we hear.
Yeah, I love that you say that because there is a digesting too of what we bring in into our mind and what we bring into our body. So we often will not be digesting fully experiences that have happened in our life. This is uh, oh, I love this topic. I was like, wait, we don't have all day, so wait, let's see. There's the seeds of the impressions in our mind and our blueprint of our body, of our past experiences. And so talk therapy can be a treatment at certain periods of time for somebody, but it, for some, it can lock them in to that perspective. And sometimes reliving it or unearthing it out of the body, but then we need to do something with it. So there's like in Ayurveda, there's a cleanse called Panchakarma, but it's basically cleaning up the diet, maybe a mono diet of a khichdi, which is like a dal and rice, and the body gets to reset. And in that resetting, there's this process we use actually medicated ghee. We use this process of using lipid medication, using fats to extract toxins out of the mind and the body. And so this is giving movement to those impressions. And the impressions have fancy names like samskaras and vasanas, but it's basically our experiences and they're part of us. But we go through a very careful cleanse. It's not like a really like hardcore cleanse, but a very gentle cleanse because we're going to become raw as these things come up. And this is where it's like next level talk therapy, taking it and giving it a place to go, flushing it out of the body and resetting. And I know, pretty sure you're familiar with the energy work. It sort of has that kind of uh, element where we're releasing it instead of getting stuck in any mental loop over it. I
I
think
love
is,
it.
yeah.
I also
So,
really love that you guys have a detox cleanse that is just mono diet with the khichdi because khichdi is so delicious and so filling, and it's not as it seems that it won't be as shocking as just a juice cleanse or just a water cleanse. You at least still get to feed
yeah,
your body.
right. Yeah. And I know there's, theories and some are like, you can't cleanse unless you're not eating or you're only on water, only on broth. And there's a time for that for periods of time. But we like to, our system in Ayurveda is avoiding what's called like starvation syndrome or metabolic syndrome, where the body's actually holding on to it because the tissue can fear that no more food is coming. So I've worked with some people where they're wanting to reset their metabolism, and I'll just say there's a process of having something and feeding the tissues like something like kitchery, super easy to digest and yummy. And if someone's like, this happens, oh, I don't want the rice, that's fine. There's so many choices because you can mix it with buckwheat, quinoa, millet, and sometimes that's even more yummy. So
Yeah,
lots of
exactly.
good choices that we get to do.
I like that you mentioned the lipid, fat, medicinal ghee, which sounds yummy. So I'm going to ask you about that afterwards. However, that brings me to the story that your husband told. He actually told two stories about Prash, which is another herbal remedy that Ayurveda
Mhm.
has, which somebody had brought it to my attention a few years ago. This was probably like 10 years ago, and I bought a jar and I was taking it just because for like health protocol or whatever. I'll try anything, right? But I didn't really know like what am I using for, right? I don't
Mhm.
really need it, but whatever. But
Yeah.
the story that your husband told was, wait, what? This is really interesting.
Mhm.
Which one do I want you to tell? The salad one or the toe one? Tell me about the toe. What do you think happened with the toe? Because the way he described it was he had a fungus on his toe and he hadn't paid attention to it. He was taking the Chyawanprash. And then one day when he was on a business trip, he was in the hotel room. He had worn his socks to bed. And the next morning, his socks, the one sock with the
Oh,
toe, was red. And he didn't understand. There was like brownish red. And he didn't
yeah,
understand. He was
yeah.
like, oh my gosh, what happened to my toe? And when he took off his sock, his foot was like brand new.
Yeah.
And like there was no
Yeah.
fungus. Basically, all the stuff, all the toxins had seeped out of his skin onto the sock.
Right. Yeah.
That's
Incredible.
amazing.
Yeah, and thanks for remembering the story there. That's because that's important. That it was yeah, it was phenomenal. So and again without having like looking, oh, I'm trying to get rid of it. Like it was a surprise. Like yeah, he had a toe fungus, was taking Chyawanprash for different reasons. It was for uh metabolism boost and immune system wellness. And after about 30 days of regular, we might have varied it a little from 1 to 2 teaspoons a day, but he noticed that he had a clean toenail that he hadn't ever had, and the toenail fungus was gone. Hadn't been watching it, hadn't been tracking it. That's not what it was meant to do. But that's what it can do, and it's because of the herbs in there. And one of the main ingredients is called amla, which it means nurture of life. It's also called amalaki, and it's Indian gooseberry, has lots of names. It's the size of like it's like an inch. Is that like a golf ball maybe? And it has, I guess, 100 times more of bioavailable vitamin C than an orange, which is, it's much bigger. So that is one of the main ingredients, and it rejuvenates all the tissues of the body. And vitamin C and high, letting the body produce more collagen. Let's see, it boosts the immune system. So that's huge because a strong immune system is going to help the body fight off the fungus. And then it does, another part is increases OJAS. Well, OJAS is the immune system, but digestive fire, that's important too. So I don't want to forget to say that. That's called Agni. And by increasing the body's ability to metabolize, also helped the cycle of that kind of fungal cycle to die.
Okay.
So and it was gradual. Instead of,
Yeah.
when you do things too fast, sometimes these parasitic cycles, they just hide out
Mhm.
and then they start their
Mm,
cycle again. And that's
right.
often why people are like, oh, I've done this Candida diet and it didn't work. It's because there's this ability for hiding in crevices kind of thing. So
Mm.
the slowness and the everything with Ayurveda is gradual, baby steps, going slow for the long term, right? So anyway, that's what happened there. And so ingredients in Chyawanprash, but also it just supports and nourishes the body. It had what it needed to do that. And
It was like this was
yeah.
literally as a person, knowing he had a fungus on his toe, not fighting against it, not trying to get rid of it because language matters.
Hmm.
He just sort of focused on other things just because I guess he happened to be focused on his immune, right? And other
Hmm.
things in his digestion. And when he did that and just accepted the fungus because the fungus is there for a reason, he accepted it. And then he did other things to support his immune system to
Hmm.
help move that out. And that's what happened.
That's pretty incredible. Thank you for saying it. Because when you just did that, that was like, that's exactly what we hope for in an Ayurvedic treatment plan. Let's get your body into the place that it's at its optimal wellness. And then guess what happens? These imbalances, we sometimes say spontaneous healing. I would say that's that scenario because
Mhm.
that happened and it was able to happen to his body. And so, thank you for laying that out like that. That was lovely because it was
Yes.
essentially what we're hoping to do is create that again, just the that calm center in one's body, the reservoir of strength is within, and we're trying to find ways to capture that
Yeah.
so that we can be resilient. Because
Mm-hmm.
we say life will throw us off,
Yep.
and we don't want to be the tumbleweed. We want to be like the calm center in the middle of the storm. And I always find Ayurveda is like drawing from the right tools for you. What's your medicine? So we can get you to that place. And then spontaneous healing, everyone's excited. Life is great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's when you talk about optimal wellness, that is the goal. And when we experience symptoms that are diagnosed and we try and get rid of those symptoms, when we do that, we're actually not at optimal wellness at all. And so it's always going to be the same battle because
Hmm.
the main point is that you're not at optimal wellness. And this is why your
Hmm.
body is speaking to you.
Hmm.
So essentially,
Yeah.
when we just address symptoms in the physical sense, it's like having a baby tugging at your sleeve and you telling it to shut up and shutting it in away in a room
Hmm.
by
Hmm.
itself.
Hmm. Hmm.
That's what we're doing, and we don't want to do that. We want this baby to come to us, tug on our sleeves, and us to embrace the baby and
Hmm.
say, "What is it that you have to tell me?"
Hmm. Yeah, that's perfect. It's the messengers, right? All the
Yeah.
symptoms that come up, different ways that the body's trying to speak to us, get our attention. And what happens? How often do people not listen to the whisper? They brush it off. Or like you said, or go, get out, I'm ignoring you. And then it gets louder and it gets louder and it gets louder. And I guess ideally we hear that baby's cry before it's a scream before we have ignored it for so long that what happens is it's becoming something much more deep-seated, harder to come out of, and that's a lot of today, there's a lot of illness that's happening where that road to wellness, there's a lot of maybe, I'll just keep that analogy, the crying babies to go through to get to where it began. So, the practices like meditation or removing the disturbances in the mind and the body, whether that's through how we eat or how we eat our food is super important. Why we eat, when we're eating, and what we're eating. We can help remove some of the blinders and or it like clears the ears or clears the internal listening to what the body's trying to tell us. And how you
Yeah.
said it so beautiful, it's like messages the body's giving us to say, hey, something's off. Let's address this, not just cover it up, little salve and a Band-Aid, but let's figure
Yeah.
out why is this here? What is it telling me? And that's one way I'll start a lot of the sessions I do with Ayurveda is just, doing a meditation, a drop in, but asking yourself, what do I need to know right now? And sometimes we're in tune to it, we hear it, or we have a feeling or a thought. And sometimes we don't, but we just have to keep arriving for ourselves. And that's that way to keep dropping in. Yeah.
I
So
love that. That sounds
I
really
think so.
beautiful too. Now tell me, how can people find you? What's your website?
Yeah. So my website is ayurvedawithmelanie.com. And I, my email is ayurvedamelanie@gmail. So that's a really good way because the conversation can start that way if someone has questions. I usually do a 15-minute, just a free consult uh, sort of checking in. Do they want to continue? And we go from there to
Mhm.
perhaps begin an Ayurvedic journey.
Yeah, and if people are interested in just maybe getting like a seasonal diet plan from you or
Mhm.
something like that, recipes, are you available for that as well?
Yes, I'm glad you asked that because that's such a fun and big part of my support is creating meal plans. It can be for the week, it could be for 21 days, it could be just to tweak what they're doing. But I love creating recipes that would be great for them, and I meet people where they are. What's your way to cook? How long do you want to spend on the cooking? And finding great ways um, to create a medicinal time in the kitchen and having fun doing it.
Yes. Thank you so much. Is there anything else you'd like to add before we end our time together?
Um, no, I guess that's it. I would say through email and phone call, they can learn about seasonal cleanse options I have because I offer seasonal cleanses, but also in addition to consultations, sometimes there's series like learning how to do the cooking or skincare at home or all sorts of possibilities. So I try to keep my website updated for getting to know what's going on.
Perfect. And
Yeah.
are they able to sign up for a newsletter at all if they jump on your website?
Yeah, I would say right now, to be honest, giving me an email and
Okay.
then there is a way to do that on the website too, though. I'll say either way, whatever's most convenient.
Okay.
Yeah, and I appreciate you having me. I love to share uh, information about Ayurveda and just kind of plant the seed for people to see what it might be about and if it can help them, because I
Yeah,
believe
thank
it
you so
can.
much. Thank you for your time. I believe it can too.
Yeah, thank you.
Have a
Take
great
care.
day.
Okay, you too. Bye.